Hello everybody and welcome back. Travis at Rocky Mountain RV and Marine here. Today we're talking about getting your trailer ready for spring. Let's go. Tires. I know that we've talked about these in the past. In fact, we have a whole video on tires, but tires are really, really important. It might be my old motorcycle riding days that taught me about tires and the fact that those are the only thing that connect you and your family to the ground. So checking your tires for dry rot, checking your tires for flat spots, checking your tires for any cracks in the sidewall is really, really important. Another thing to check on your tires is the date code. All tires have a date code and they're all located kind of in the same spot on the tire. If you look at the sidewall, you'll see a DOT and then a number and then another number and then a little circle with 4 numbers. That little oval, that little circle is what you're looking for. And the 4 numbers inside of that little circle tell you when that tire was manufactured. In this case, you're going to see a 1921. 19 meaning that it was manufactured on the 19th week of the 21st year. If your tires are older than 5 or 6 years, really it's time to replace them. Since you're down here checking the tires anyway, you may as well put a few squirts of grease into your bearings. Most of your wheels and your hubs are going to probably look like this, where you've got a hub, you might have a cover that looks just like the hub covering this. This one did. I've taken that cover off. It just snaps off. What you can do is directly inside, you have a little grease fitting that you can hook your grease gun up to. If this is a year that maybe you're not doing your bearing repack because you didn't travel enough, or it's an off year because you do your bearing repacks every other year, it's still a good idea to hook a grease gun up to that grease fitting and squirt a few squirts of grease inside that bearing to at least make sure they're full. The last thing to do on your tires is check your tire pressure and check the torque on your lug nuts. Now, when it comes to tire pressure, I run what's on the side of the sidewall. You might be different. I'm not here to tell you what you're doing is wrong. Just make sure that your tire pressure is what you think it should be. The next thing is a visual inspection. Walk around your RV, get up on the roof. Look for some things that might be problems before they're problems. You really want to check the sealant around each window, as well as the sealant around each compartment. Living in New Mexico, that sealant is going to shrink up in the hot sun and then eventually cause a leak. You'll want to get down on the ground and check underneath your trailer for any rat's nests, any hanging or loose wires, or anything else that might cause an issue down the road. You want to climb up on the roof to check all the seals up there. Really want to check everywhere where there's been a penetration of the roof. Air conditioners, skylights, little roof vents, the Winegard 360, any kind of vent, as well as checking all of the screw holes in your solar panel. The next part of your exterior walkthrough or your exterior check is to check and inspect and charge your house battery. Now, when you're dealing with batteries, the first thing to do is to make sure that your walls are still straight. If they're bulgy, if they look a little balloony, it means that that battery froze last winter and is no longer good. The next thing is to check all of your terminals. Make sure that your battery cables are on nice and tight. Make sure that your terminals are nice and clean. Once you've done that, you can move on to the water in the battery. Now, this particular battery is a sealed battery, so you don't need to add any kind of water. But there are batteries, and I'll throw up a picture of a battery on the screen here that has 6 cells per side, and you'll pop off each of these little caps and fill each cell up with distilled water. Don't forget to check your battery strap. These things get pretty frayed and nasty over the years. They're pretty inexpensive, so just make sure that the thing holding your battery onto the trailer is actually going to hold your battery onto the trailer. Check and fill your LP tank. Now, when I say check, really the only thing you can do is look around at it and make sure it's not rusting out anywhere. But you can also check the manufacturer's date, because All of these propane tanks have a 7 to 10 year expiration date, a lifespan from the manufactured date. So this tank is good until 2031. The next step is dewinterizing. If you don't know how to dewinterize, I'll put a video just above which will show you how to do that. But once your trailer is dewinterized, a lot of people's next steps is going to be a sanitization step, meaning that they're going to be putting some bleach directly into their freshwater holding tank and then running that bleach water throughout the entire system of the RV. What they hope to accomplish during this step is, one, if there's a little bit of a smell in your freshwater, this will get rid of it. 2 and 3 is to get rid of microbes and bacteria. Not everybody does this step, and not everybody does this step every year. It's kind of up to you, but let's go see how to do it. In order to sanitize your tank, the first thing that you need to do is fill your freshwater holding tank. Now, I don't know how big each of your freshwater holding tanks is, but I will tell you that you need to use 1 cup of bleach per 15 gallons of fresh water. So, however many gallons of water you have in here, add an according amount of bleach. Once you have that freshwater tank full of both your bleach and your water, the next step is to go inside. Now that you have the bleach water mixture in your freshwater holding tank, the next thing to do is come inside, turn your water pump on, go to each faucet running both the hot and the cold, waiting for that bleached water mixture to come out. Now that you've got the bleached water run through all of your water lines and your freshwater holding tank, the next thing to do is let it sit. And when I say let it sit, I mean for a few hours. Don't let this sit overnight, because that bleach is going to turn the PEX lines that encompass the whole water system of your RV into brittle little breaky things. And you don't really want that. After the bleach water has sat for a few hours, now it's time to get it out. The next thing to do is to remove all of that bleach water out of your freshwater holding tank. In this particular case, we have a freshwater holding tank drain right here. What we would do is remove the plug and wait for that freshwater tank to drain completely. Once that freshwater tank has drained completely, we can replug it, recap it, turn the valve, whatever it is that your trailer has, but we want to turn this back to the off position, if you will. Don't forget about your low point drains. You still have that bleach water in all of your cold and hot lines. So come out here, turn the knobs, remove the caps or the plugs, again, whatever your trailer may have, wait for the low points to drain completely, and then close them back up. And the last thing to do for the dumping of the bleach water is to make sure that you get it out of your water heater. So you do want to drain your water heater again. Again, come up top, pull the pressure relief valve open, wait for any pressure that may have accumulated to come out, come to the bottom, and remove your plug. Obviously, you will need a wrench to do that. Once your water heater is completely drained, you can put the plug back in, again putting a wrench on it, close your pressure relief valve, and now go back to your freshwater fill. The final flush can be done really either through the tank or the lines. If you want to flush the tank, obviously it's going to have to be done through the tank. But if you're just trying to flush the lines, then you can do that with your city water. And what you're going to do for city water is hook your city water up, turn that water on, go inside, turning all of the faucets on until you don't smell bleach in the water anymore. The same thing can be done with your freshwater tank. You can fill the freshwater tank back up, go back underneath, draining the freshwater tank until you don't smell bleach anymore. I hear all my desert folks out there screaming right now, saying, this kind of feels like a waste of water. And it is. I can't say that I sanitize my tanks every year. I sanitize just when they need it. And when they need it means that there's a bit of a smell coming out of my faucets. That's when I run bleach through my freshwater tank and my freshwater lines. It's up to you. I can't tell you how much water to use or how much water not to use. Now that you're dewinterized and sanitized, maybe, The next step is to check for water leaks. Now, there is a really easy way to check for water leaks that doesn't require anything but turning the water pump on and having enough water in your freshwater tank for it to run through the system. So, put a little water in your freshwater tank and turn your water pump on. You should hear it run, and it'll make a noise like the water pump does. That noise should stop. Once the system is completely pressurized, that noise goes away because the system isn't requiring any more pressure. And that's good. What you want to do is now sit and listen for about 20-25 minutes. Your water pump shouldn't run again. It shouldn't come on every 10 seconds and run for a second. It shouldn't go burp, 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 burp. If it does, it means you have a water leak. Now you can go looking for that. The next thing I want you to do is turn on all of your switches, all of your lights, because if your lights aren't working at the house, they're not going to work at the campground. Check the battery in any smoke detectors. Check to make sure that your fire extinguisher is still there and that it says that it's still good. Thank you all again for watching. I know that this isn't a complete comprehensive list of everything that you should do to get your trailer ready for spring, but it is a good baseline list, and that's where we can all start. If you have any tips or suggestions or things that you would like me to cover in the future, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. I read all of them. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
Rocky Mountain RV and Marine, simply the best.